was working on the overnight shift from October 6th to October 7th. A very standard shift. 6:28 in the morning, we start to see rocket sirens in the south, scrambling to kind of like keep up with things that are coming into us. We do the shift turnover at like 6:45 in the morning. By the time I had gotten home, I didn't think it was, it could be real. It was almost like out of a movie. Like, these have to be, these can't be what it looks like, right? Because it's too preposterous. It's too insane. The main thing I remember most strongly from those days is just the sense of like, we don't know what's going on. We look back and we look at how we responded to the attacks, and we kind of like, oh, we should have done this. Like, how come we did it this way? But the truth is, hindsight is 20/20, and we didn't know then what we know now.
I was working on October 7th from office in Jerusalem, and I'd been assigned to work World News that day. There were cyber attacks, including against the Jerusalem Post. When I signed on, I saw there was an attack, and I think the original number I saw was 15. An hour later, I checked again, and it was 100. A few hours went by, and it was 400, and then it was 800, and then it was 1,400. And that number was revised to 1,200 once the bodies were counted. It was a difficult day. When the numbers were coming out, I just couldn't fathom. The information coming through was so fragmented that it was hard to really understand the full picture of what was going on. And obviously, if you work in the news and you don't understand, then I can't imagine how terrifying not knowing would have been.
On October 6th, I flew to England for a friend's wedding, which was on October 8th. And I remember working from a hotel in Chester, from the train back to London. I didn't know what to do with myself, and I just really wanted to get back to Israel. The hardest part was that my shifts would end at 9 o'clock, and I would look out the window and I would see mothers with their babies in strollers, people walking their dogs. Everybody was behaving like everything was normal, and it was so not normal. I was in two different worlds at the same time, and I really went a little bit crazy. I saw, I believe, every video that Hamas put out on their Telegram in those first several days. It was really scary and really confusing. I guess the best way to sum it up was it was like being in two different universes and two different parallel realities. And that's honestly how it felt for the first few months of the war, even back in Israel, because sometimes you're, in crisis mode and sometimes you're not. But that's a story for another time.